So, you're trying to absolutely nail your IGCSE ESL exam, right? Well, that formal writing task, Exercise 6, can be a real game changer. It can be the difference between the grade you want and the grade you really want. Today, we're going to break down exactly how you can lock in a perfect 15 out of 15. We'll start with the 2 biggest mistakes that trip students up, and then I'll show you the exact method to avoid them.
Okay, first things first. We need to get our heads around why so many students miss out on those top marks. And honestly, it almost always boils down to 2 major traps. If you can just learn to sidestep these, you're going to see your score jump up instantly.
All right, mistake number 1 is what I call the summary trap. This is when you do a great job of describing an event, you list all the key points from the prompt, but you forget the most important part, evaluation. You're just reporting facts, not actually analyzing them. The examiner doesn't want a simple list, they want your thoughtful, objective assessment of the situation. And the second big mistake, the register roller coaster. This is when your tone is just all over the place. Maybe you start with something way too informal like, "Hello, teacher," or you slip in slang like you're texting a friend. For this task, you've got to be consistently formal and objective from the first word to the very last. No exceptions.
And look, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from a real IGCSE examiner's comment. This is literally what they write down when they see that register roller coaster in action. It's a massive red flag for them, and it shows you've missed one of the core requirements of the task.
So now that we know the problems, how do we fix them? Let's get into the good stuff. We're going to shift from what not to do to exactly what you need to do to get those full marks.
I'm about to give you a simple 4-step method that you can use on any formal writing question they throw at you. Seriously, think of it as your secret blueprint for success. It's designed specifically to avoid those traps and hit all the right notes for the examiner. And this is the goal, right? 15 out of 15, a perfect score. And just to prove that this method actually works, we're going to deconstruct a real student's response that got this exact score. Seeing how it's done is what makes it all click into place.
All right, let's get to the heart of it. Here it is, the 4-step method that lines up perfectly with what the examiners are trained to look for. This isn't just some random strategy. It's built directly from the official marking criteria. Step 1, lock in your register. First, know who you're writing to. It's usually a principal or a teacher, so you have to keep that tone formal and objective. That means no "I think" or "you should." Step 2 is all about structure. You need a clear intro, well-organized body paragraphs with transition words, and a strong conclusion that actually makes recommendations. Step 3, develop beyond the prompts. This is your key to escaping that summary trap. You take the ideas they give you and you add your own specific, original details to them. And finally, step 4, use formal language. This means using some more complex sentences, showing off your vocabulary, and trying out techniques like the passive voice to sound more detached and official.
Okay, theory is great and all, but seeing it in practice is what really makes it stick. So let's pull up that 15-15 report and break down exactly why it scored so well, using our 4-step method as a guide.
And here it is. Just take a second to look at the overall shape of it. It's clean, right? It's organized into nice, clear paragraphs, and it just looks professional. This is the kind of presentation you should be aiming for.
Now, let's zoom in a bit. Check out this opening sentence. It uses the passive voice, "will be discussed." It doesn't say, "I am going to discuss." This is a super smart move that immediately sets a formal, objective tone. It locks in the register right from the first line and shows the examiner you know what you're doing.
And this is a brilliant example of step 3, developing beyond the prompts. The prompt might have just said something simple like, "The sports were fun." But look what this student did. They connected it to a real, original idea, academic stress and exam season. They're not just stating a fact, they're explaining why it was beneficial. That shows a much deeper level of thinking, and that's what gets you the top content marks.
You know, even a simple little word like "lastly" can make a huge difference. This is what examiners call signposting, and it's a key part of step 2, structuring for clarity. It's like you're holding the examiner's hand and guiding them through your report, making it super easy to follow your logic. Words like "firstly," "furthermore," and "in conclusion," they are your absolute best friends here.
Now let's just put this side by side. On the left, you've got a typical intro from a mid-level response. It's way too personal, too informal. "My name is Manuela." On the right, we've got our 15-15 example. It's objective, it sets the scene perfectly, and it clearly lays out the purpose of the report.
I mean, the difference in quality is just night and day, isn't it? Okay, to pull this all together, here is your final exam checklist. Before you finish writing and put your pen down, I want you to quickly run through these 4 questions. Think of it as your 4-point takedown for a perfect score.
So ask yourself, 1. Is my tone formal and objective? Did I avoid using I or you? 2. Is my structure clear? Do I have an intro, body paragraphs, and a conclusion? 3. Did I actually develop the prompts with my own ideas, or did I just summarize? And 4. This one's crucial. Does my conclusion give clear, practical recommendations for the future? If you can tick off all 4 of those, you can feel really confident you've written a top-tier response.
So there you have it. The 2 biggest traps to watch out for and the 4-step method to get around them every single time. The blueprint is all yours now. The only question left is, can you take this method and apply it to a fresh practice question? Go on, grab a past paper and give it a shot. You might just surprise yourself with how well you do. Good luck!